Rob Tebbutt here for ID Boxing. Delighted as always to be joined by Kalle Sauerland. We're here at a big one, folks. Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn. Kalle, always a pleasure to see you. You got that famous big grin. This is a big fight.
Yeah, it's not big, Rob. It's not big. It's not massive. It's using the word iconic, but it's got something totally different about any of the big fights we've ever been involved in. You know, heavyweight unification fights, or just big grudge matches. This is a totally different feel to it, and it hit me totally when I was at the presser, and it was just the way they, the questions you could ask were so. Normally you say, "All right, how are you going to put him out? How many rounds?" Then they go off on each other, or they don't, and that's a presser. Today I was asking questions about, are you going to prepare differently with a different mindset? Do you have the pressures from the past on you now? How was it around the dining table as a kid? I mean, I'd never write down questions before a press conference. I do everything ad lib. And this morning I really said, I have to write them down because I'm going to forget. Oh, they're so good, these questions. I was over on the plane on the way over and I literally wrote them down and just had them. I didn't really use them much, but I just needed to, because I knew the press conference would go a bit like this, and I wanted to get those questions in. That's why at the end I had to squeeze the last one on Conor about the pressures. So yeah, we're in for a ride. I think everyone involved, if you're a fan, media, promoter, trainer, and mostly the fighters, are going to enjoy this. I really think it's going to be an interesting 8 weeks now.
Talk to me about the press conference. You mentioned there that there were other options for Chris Eubank Jr. Of course, he's boxed his last fights, or last couple of fights on Sky Sports with Boxer. How did we end up with Chris Eubank Jr. versus Conor Benn? And what was the fight that you said that you wanted him to take that he didn't take?
No, it wasn't. I wanted him to take it and didn't take it. It was, we had an option of lots of different fights. You were at boxing. The options changed the whole time. A few months ago, we were talking about Gennady Golovkin for 2 weeks. I spoke to their side as well, because Bivol beat Canelo, and in the ring Canelo said, I'm going to avenge him next. That's the next fight. So we're thinking, brilliant, right? Well, we're going to go for Golovkin now, and that's the fight that for him is the second most interesting fight out there, at least financially. And then that obviously didn't happen. Canelo changed his mind and then is now fighting Triple G. So those sort of things happen very quickly. We looked at a number of, Liam Smith was also something that was offered, but then it was taken off the table because they announced a show at the beginning of September. So, we always knew this was out there, and it was something that we just wanted to make the right decision. At the end of the day, Junior made it very clear this is the one he wanted.
This fight launches DAZN pay-per-view in the UK. Obviously, it's the first time that we'll see pay-per-view on DAZN in the UK. How well are you expecting it to do? Can you give me a figure?
It's not the first time, because we will be promoting the first show on DAZN pay-per-view on
Beg your pardon.
August 27th with our sold-out O2 Arena for the KSI fight. So it will be the second one, but let's say not for crossover boxing in terms of old school boxing, let's call it. Although this has a sort of crossover feel to it somehow. I think you see what DAZN does for boxing. We've had a working relationship with them, also with the World Boxing Super Series, but also Filip Hrgovic, and it's such a fantastic thing for boxing. They dedicate the channel to boxing. They really bring it to for a boxing, and I know in other countries there's lots of different sports, and I'm sure that will evolve in the UK as well differently. But they dedicate their time and their love and their money into boxing. That's a fantastic thing for fans, and as a fan, it's every boxing fan's wet dream.
Could this have been a bigger fight if it was Sky Sports pay-per-view, do you think?
I don't judge fights by what network it's on. It's obvious that DAZN is new to the UK. This fight would, however, whether it's on Sky, DAZN, it could be on on the Mosserman Boxing Stroke Matchroom app that we create for the night, and it would sell. It's going to do record numbers. It's it's done in the pre-sale. It's done numbers that the O2 at any boxing event has never ever seen before. So that's fact. So we've checked the matchroom stats. We've also had shows at the O2 together. It's blasted everything out of the water. So we were looking at stadium. We thought October, and it was very, very complicated. So we said no, let's stick to what we know, and we went to the O2. But in hindsight, maybe we should have gone to Old Trafford to really bring it back to the roots. But it's a great venue, and we're very happy.
Chris said in the press conference this is a lose-lose for him. Do you agree with that?
No, I don't actually. I think, I think my man wins. So I don't really think about losing. But I can see the angle he's taking. I disagree with it because I think he's going to win, and that won't be a loss. No one's going to say. You see the bookies already now. They're shorting the odds on Ben. I don't know on what basis. When I put out on Twitter in October, this fight will happen one day in the not so distant future. Bloody hell, the answers I got, what is he on, and etc., which is quite normal actually for when I put out a tweet. But on this one, it was very, very aggressive and telling me it was basically a total mismatch. And now, well, the odds are out. They're 13-8 on Ben. I wouldn't say that's a heavy underdog. So it's pretty close to evens, actually.
The weight is obviously a big factor in this fight. 157 pounds, rehydration clause. What can you tell me about that?
Yeah, there'll be a rehydration clause, and I'm not going to give the details now, but they will come out, and it's very fair, and it will be at 11 o'clock the next day. So it's something that both sides have accepted. It's something that promoter, we put it out and obviously try and find a medium between the two, but. And I think I speak for Eddie here as well on his side, but on our side, I can tell you one thing: I would never, in a million years, say to a fighter, "You've got to fight that way." Can't do it because I'm not the one making weight. I'm not the one getting in the ring. I'm not the one who's got to go through that. I've had boxers who've made ridiculous amounts of weights before fights. George Groves used to cut huge amounts to get down to super mid, and if I look back at even like the final in Saudi, when he lost in his last fight, I think both of them would have been happy if that fight would have been a light heavy, but I think it would have been a different fight. After Abraham, he made 10 kilos, close to 20 pounds in a month before his fights. I mean, he ballooned up in weight. What we'll say about Junior is he might have that image of Las Vegas, etc., but he doesn't put it on. He's probably the heaviest I've ever seen him looking today, but he's still lean as hell. He used to have to eat to get up to the 168 mark. He came in under 160 for the Williams fight. Came at 159. So yes, it's a push, but he'll know, having accepted that's the push he's got to make.
Chris says if he loses his fight, in his words, he's finished. What do you think to that?
Once again, he's going to win, so I'm not going to entertain that thought. But in the past, when boxers have said that, I always laugh because, a loss can come so many ways. They could clash heads in the second round and, it's game over. It's a no contest. Or, it could be behind on the cards somehow after 4 rounds, they clash their heads and it goes to scorecards and lose the fight that way. Lots of different ways. Could lose in a blockbuster. No one knows. But we talk victory. We will be victorious on October the 8th.
No dads here today. I myself was very disappointed, as I'm sure a lot of people were. No dads. Will they be involved in the promotion?
I had my son here today, so there was a dad here today. But
not saying you're not important, Kalle, of course.
But let's say the important dads. No, they weren't there today. Which I think they're welcome to. But obviously, we welcome them with open arms into the build-up. But I thought it was quite special today to have the two front men there, and I think I didn't have to do much talk. Eddie didn't have to do much talking. It was them, and we said before, we'll just ask them a few punchline questions and let them talk. And I've never seen Junior so upfront and talkative and take that ground. He was fantastic up there. I thought Conor clearly very, very up for this fight, and I thought it was real entertainment, healthy entertainment. I mean, they both made each other know that they're coming for war, but there was they both disagree with probably on this. I thought there was a bit of respect there as well, though. It wasn't like some other press conferences I've been to. No tables flying. Although I just did see Derek arrive some point during the presser.
Yeah, he gave the big woo, and then everyone turned around to tell him to be quiet, and then realised who it was.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it's you. Sorry, Derek. I didn't mean to. Please continue to woo.
Talk to me about Chris's broadcast deal. Of course, he was with Sky Boxer, kind of figurehead of there. He's now with DAZN. Is this a one-fight deal? Is it a multi-fight deal?
It's a one-fight deal.
Rematch clause?
No rematch clause.
Okay, well, Kalle, always a pleasure to catch up with you. Before I let you go, £10 rehydration clause?
What's a rehydration clause?
Don't play silly games.
Sorry, Rob. Not on that one.
Thanks very much, Kalle. Cheers, mate.